This video, we're going to go ahead and do a weapon review on this awesome and yet quite surprisingly powerful SMG called the Atalanta-d. Now many of you are probably wondering, what the heck is this massive huge barrel doing on the end of this tiny little SMG? I was wondering the exact same thing, and what that actually is a silencer on the end of the barrel. So this is one of the main features as to why I want to try this out in PvP, because I want to see if this was actually going to make a difference in that environment. But I also noticed that this weapon almost looks identical in every way, shape, and form, except for that barrel in comparison to the antiope-d. That's why I really wanted to compare these things and see if they're actually going to be powerful within PvP, to see exactly how similar and how dissimilar that this thing was to that weapon. Now, if you want to happen to get this thing, what you guys gotta do is you gotta rank up the gunsmith, as unfortunately the same thing applies with the antiope-d. You can only get both of these weapons from the gunsmith. It is a little bit of a grind, but once you guys do get it, it's gonna be fantastic, as I can guarantee you that this thing is the definition of stability, and I'll explain all of that in just a sec. The only thing left to do is to eviscerate that subscribe button, and let's jump right into the video. As many of you already know, one of the very first things that I love to do whenever I get my hands on a new weapon like this is to check out the weapon's optimal kill time via headshots and headshots only, and in association with this, an optimal body shot time to kill via body shots only. In order for us to do this properly, we have to know the weapon's damage for both headshots and body shots, and that is exactly 20 points of damage in the head and 15 points of damage in the body. This means that you need exactly 10 critical headshots for an optimal time to kill at exactly 0.9 seconds. If you were to look at solely body shot time to kill, you would need exactly 14 body shots, and that would then equate to an optimal body shot time to kill at exactly 1.3 seconds. With the optimal kill time at 0.9 and the body shot kill time at 1.3 seconds, both of those time to kills are exceptional and phenomenal, and that ultimately means that this thing is easily going to be able to hold its own and absolutely demolish and annihilate just about any guardian that you can see, especially if they're even using a meta weapon like the Last Hope or something else along those lines. One of the main primary reasons as to why this weapon can do so well with those optimal kill times is because of two intrinsic perks that the weapon has, one of which is called Tap the Trigger and the other of which is called Precision Frame. With Tap the Trigger, it states that this weapon grants a short period of increased stability and accuracy on the initial trigger pull. So right there, that's fantastic because we know that we need exactly 10 critical headshots in order for us to get that optimal kill time. With Tap the Trigger, we have a very strong chance of getting at least 5 of those bullets to be critical headshots, just because of this one simple fact that this weapon has this perk. Because that allows you to have increased accuracy and increased stability, you have a much greater chance of hitting more critical headshots, at least for half of those that you need. Now, the way in which you get the rest of those headshots is by that second intrinsic perk, and that's called Precision Frame. Precision Frame states that this weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical, and that ultimately means that this is the exact same perk as Counterbalance back in Destiny 1. With Counterbalance, we were only allowed to have vertical recoil on that weapon, and that's the exact same thing that's happening with Precision Frame, and again why this weapon is so powerful, because when you combine Precision Frame with Tap the Trigger, you're going to have two very powerful perks that increase this weapon's stability and accuracy through the freaking roof. Because of this sole fact, you have a very high chance of getting that optimal kill time almost every single time that you're in a close range engagement. The next two perks that you guys can choose from is either Steady Rounds or Extended Mag. The Steady Round states that this weapon's magazine is optimized for recoil control while increasing its stability and slightly decreasing the range. In contrast to this, you can also have on Extended Mag, and Extended Mag states that this weapon has a greatly increased magazine size but reloads much slower. So in my mind, and the one that I use here is Steady Rounds, because what you want is a very high stability. And once again, if you happen to have on Steady Rounds, that's going to couple along very well with Precision Frame and Tap the Trigger. And so with all three of these perks, you guys can really see as to why earlier I said in the video that this weapon is the definition of stability. In those first couple of shots and almost the end of the entire kill, this weapon is extremely efficient in hitting almost every single headshot, allowing you to have a very high probable chance of getting the optimal time to kill at exactly 0.9 seconds. The very last thing that you guys can choose from on this weapon is either the GA Post sight or the SD Thermal sight. GA Post is a short zoom agile sight that greatly increases the handling speed and slightly boosts the range. In contrast to this, you also have the SD Thermal sight, and it's a Hawkeye thermal imaging medium zoom scope that highlights enemies and significantly increases the range. No matter which side that you look at, it really just comes down to a personal preference. If you want to have the maximum range possible on this weapon, then you would go with the SD Thermal sight. If you like to be up in someone's face and also want to have a nice range stat along with increased handling speed, and that GA post is definitely the way to go. That's exactly how I like to play, and so that's why I'm using the GA post sight, not just because of the fact that it increases the handling speed and gives a minor boost in range, but it also has a very low zoom factor. The weapon has a zoom factor at exactly 15, and coupled along with this GA post sight, that's very nice because it gives me a very wide peripheral vision, and that allows me to go from one guardian to the next very easily. With the GA post sight, precision frame, steady rounds, and tap the trigger, this thing is simply a laser beam among any type of SMG in this game, and in my opinion, in terms of stability aspects, this Atalanta-d is by far the best SMG in the game. Now, if you really want to compare it to that of the antiope-d, I would have to say this weapon's a little bit lacking in comparison to that of the antiope-d, because the antiope-d still has very good stability, but unfortunately, the range in the antiope-d is far superior to that of the atalanta-d, making the atalanta-d a little bit lacking in this category. That's why if you really want to use one or the other, you have to use the Atalanta-d on very close range and covering maps, whereas with the antiope-d, you have a little bit more flexibility because you can use that weapon in more range case scenarios, allowing it to be more universal. One of the very last things I want to point out about this weapon is that the recoil direction, the aim assistance, and the stability on this weapon as a whole are very powerful. It's got an aim assistance of 82 out of 100, a stability of 45 out of 100, and an aim assistance of 54 out of 100. With all three of these stats being at medium or possibly even optimal as what they can be, this thing is very efficient within the PvP environment. What this weapon lacks in just a little bit is actually the reload speed as well as the range, because the reload speed is only at 27 out of 100, and that's very low. That means that almost after every single kill, you're going to have to guarantee reload since the magazine size is also at 27, and that means that you're going to have to reload almost after every single kill. When you combine this with the range factor, you can only use it, like I said from before, in those mid-range and close environments, which is why I strongly recommend that you guys couple along with this something like an auto rifle or a scout rifle or something else along those lines to hit that medium and cross-map distances that will easily compensate for this Atalanta-d's weakness. All in all, if I had to say whether or not this weapon was good, bad, or neither, I'd go with slightly above average, but certainly not the best SMG in this game. Its number one trait is by far its stability, and how that stability is coupled along with precision frame, the GA post sight, steady rounds, and tap the trigger to couple along with those close range engagements, making this theme an absolute shredding machine in those close range environments. When you go outside of those environments, that's when this thing is a little bit lacking, and that's why I say it's a good SMG, but not quite the best. However, I will also have to state that this weapon is by far the most consistent of all the other SMGs in this game, as you know the ranges in which it's predictable, and you also know that you have a very high likelihood of getting that consistent optimal time to kill at exactly 0.9 seconds, and that's again one of the reasons as to why this weapon shines in PvP. Now, if you guys happen to get your hands on this bad boy, then by all means, let me know what you guys think of this down in the comment section below, and if you're kind of thinking along the same lines that I am, or if you're thinking a little bit differently, as I really want to hear all those perspectives, because who knows, you may think of a different situation that this weapon really shines, and that's not only going to help me, but it's going to help out everyone else too.